First tonight, a news since 6 Beloit police respond after reports of shots being fired. Rock County Communications says the incident happened a little after 7 this evening. 2 people are reportedly injured. The scene remains active at this hour. Beloit Fire and the Rock County Sheriff's Office are also both on scene. Fog continues to be an issue for those traveling across the region. Light showers likely in the days ahead. Meteorologist Blaze Keller with more on our rain chances, Blaze.
That's right. Rain chances are going to continue tonight to light rain, but the dense fog is not going away anytime soon. National Weather Service in Milwaukee and La Crosse extending that dense fog advisory to 6 a.m. on Friday. We put that out on social media, and again, using our First Warn weather app, and once you have the correct alerts on, you can always get updates about if those alerts are allowed to expire earlier or if they've been extended that way as well. Current visibilities across southern Wisconsin, if you're lucky, they're about 2 miles in Janesville. Everybody else is below a mile visibility. We're down to 1/8 of a mile visibility in Madison, no visibility in Mineral Point. So again, that fog is going to be sticking around through at least 6 o'clock on your Friday. If you've got friends or family hitting the roads, you may want to hold off until later. Future track, I think, is a little ambitious with how quickly the fog does clear. If we're lucky, it'll happen before 6 a.m., but let's just plan on at least through 6 a.m. that dense fog sticking around. By about 8 o'clock onwards, I think a lot of the dense fog will have lifted and we'll still be dealing with maybe some low clouds and some improving visibilities, because we're going to be swapping out the fog for the rain as we go throughout your Friday. Upper 30s to low 40s tonight, and we're going to be tracking the return of some cooler air in the full forecast.
All right, Blaze, thank you. One person is dead after a fire in Portage on Christmas Eve. Fire crews were called to a home on East Conant Street for reports that an upstairs resident was still inside that home. Fire and smoke were showing when firefighters arrived. A rescue team was able to find the resident, move them outside. They were taken to a hospital but later died. The Department of Justice is currently investigating that fire. A man taken to the hospital after police say he crashed into a bus station. That accident was reported a little before 9:30 Monday night at Wright and Anderson Streets. The 56-year-old driver was injured in the crash. He has been charged with operating while intoxicated. The Wisconsin Department of Agriculture says it has identified bird flu in Burnett County. That case reported in a commercial poultry flock. The agency now working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture on the case. Birds on the property have already been culled to stop the spread. The department there says there's no immediate threat to the general public. The city of Madison clerk announced today that nearly 200 ballots from the November 5th general election went uncounted. Now, this is not enough to affect the outcome of any races, and 193 uncounted ballots were from wards 56, 65, and 68. Those are southwest of the downtown area. At this time, city officials aren't sure what caused the ballots to be misplaced. It could take weeks, but all of the ballots were found sealed. Conversations are underway with the clerk's office to ensure it doesn't happen again, but officials recognize the impact of the issue.
It was human error, and it was a relatively small number of ballots in the grand scheme of things, but we know that this is exactly the kind of thing that makes people worry. And so that's why we're taking it very seriously. That's why we issued these statements, more or less immediately as soon as our office found out, even though it's over the holidays, I recognize, but we wanted to be as transparent as quickly as possible about this because we do think it's a big deal in terms of people's perception.
The city is contacting each of the affected voters to apologize. As state lawmakers prepare for a new session next year, new policy proposals are on the table. That includes marijuana. Democrats in Wisconsin have been pushing for legal marijuana for years now, but Republican lawmakers are only part of the way there. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, who sets policy in the state assembly, isn't on board with full legalization.
I do not support recreational marijuana. I think we have too many drugs in society already. So that's the challenge that my caucus has always had, is how do we put a program together that doesn't end up like most of the other states where it started out medicinal and ends up recreational.
Now, part of the sticking point in past years has been whether Wisconsin should have state-run dispensaries or not. We could see this taken up when lawmakers meet again next month. The city of Madison set to start collecting Christmas trees in the weeks to come. The Streets Division will provide 2 rounds of curbside collection. The first will begin January 6th. The second will take place on January 21st. To have your tree collected, you have to remove the stand, of course, along with all decorations, and don't place your tree in any kind of bag. Crews will only collect trees, wreaths, boughs, and other evergreen decorations have to go into your trash. Every year, people in the U.S. throw away billions of pounds of used clothing and textiles. Well, now California is holding clothing and textile companies responsible for their products from start to finish. It's the first state in the nation to enact new laws requiring apparel and textile makers to fund a reuse, repair, and recycling program. American Circular Textiles helped advocate for the policy. Clothing and textile companies could be required to provide drop-off or collection systems for used garments.
What I would like to see out of bills like this is a huge network of resale and thrifting and repair pop up. It should be the norm that you walk into any store and a lot of the clothing could be resold.
Textiles currently are the fastest growing component of California's waste stream. The law is expected to be fully enacted in 2030. The Hilldale Mall announces when it'll be hosting its annual menorah lighting. The lighting is set to take place at 4 in the afternoon on December 29th. The Chabad of Madison is organizing the event on the green near LL Bean. In addition to the lighting, there will also be music, refreshments, and a traditional gelt drop with the Madison Fire Department. The 9-foot-tall menorah will remain at the green throughout the holiday. Well, the holiday shopping season isn't over just yet. Today is Boxing Day, of course, where many stores have post-Christmas sales. Our Ellie LaLiberte shows us what consumer trends to look out for this year.
This is Boxing Day in the retail world. It's been very busy.
According to the National Retail Federation, 71% of consumers plan to shop the week following Christmas.
The Christmas rush is over, but now we're in that season when people are looking at kind of the sales that are coming in terms of excess inventory that might exist in certain stores.
It's one thing we all do together.
For some families, it's tradition.
It's fun, us girls, just to go together. My sister and I and my mom and my daughters.
For others, it's a good deal.
I'm here, I'm probably going to spend like $200 to $500 because why not? You know, everything's a little bit cheaper than it was the day before Christmas. So.
But overall, it's more than last year.
We had lines at 10 a.m. right when we opened.
Holiday sales are expected to increase by roughly 3% from last year.
Well, I think everybody was just ready to get out with their families and get some more shopping in.
26% of shoppers are expected to use gift cards, and 16% are expected to return or exchange a gift.
If there's something you want to return, there's no harm in returning items. Just really be clear on what your process looks like. And with gift cards, I do think it is smart to be mindful around getting those used quickly. Because again, a lot of people end up thinking like, oh, I'm going to save this for a special occasion and kind of forget they have them. And so,
reporting in Madison, Ellie LaLiberte, News 3 Now.
According to the National Retail Federation, the top gifts purchased this year are clothing and accessories, followed by toys and then gift cards. Well, tomorrow, one lucky lottery player could end the year with a huge win. The Mega Millions jackpot has gone over the $1 billion mark. It now sits at $1.15 billion. In 2023, 10 jackpots made it over that milestone, but so far this year, only 3 have done so. Wisconsin lottery officials have one important tip for the lucky winner.
The first thing we always recommend that people do is sign the back of the ticket. So if you win on Friday, you want to sign that ticket. That makes it your ticket. You are the owner of that ticket.
Wisconsin has never had a lottery player claim the whole jackpot. If you do win, you have 180 days to claim that ticket. There are long lines at airports all across the country, travelers heading back home after the holidays. But challenging weather is disrupting flights for many. Nationwide, the TSA expects to screen nearly 40 million passengers from back on December 19th through January 2nd. That's a 6% increase from a year ago. But storms in the south are delaying flights in Dallas and Houston. Heavy winds are disrupting flights in the Pacific Northwest.
I am nervous about that. It's storming in Houston, so we'll see.
Winter weather alerts in place for as much as 1 to 3 feet of snow from the Cascades to the Sierra, as well as the Upper Rockies through the weekend.
Now for those hitting the roads, AAA forecast the busiest time today was to be between noon and 5 p.m. A new Minnesota state law requires school districts to adopt a policy on cell phone use by March, but one nonprofit has already gotten a jump start working with students to help them find a balance when it comes to those devices. For over 5 years, Live More, Screen Less has collaborated with community stakeholders to support young people. At Two Rivers High School, students host log-off lunches where devices go unused. At a recent leadership summit, club members had the ears of leaders from public health, education, government, and tech firms like Google. And these students initially wondered how an updated cell phone policy might impact them, but they now say it's working.
We felt more focused in class, that we didn't have the opportunity to be distracted by technology and like checking Snapchat, checking whatever it is.
I think this club keeps me accountable because as saying that I'm a large part of the club, I have to demonstrate that, and I can't be someone who's on my phone.
Well, the nonprofit has seen positive steps forward. Organizers say much more action is needed. When we come back, Blaze returns. He'll tell us about the warmer weather coming this weekend, plus investigating that deadly plane crash in Kazakhstan, why Russia could be to blame for it. Stay with us.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Tonight, we're learning new information about what may have caused a passenger plane to fall from the sky and burst into flames in Kazakhstan. A U.S. official tells CBS News there are preliminary indications that a Russian anti-aircraft system may have hit the plane, which was carrying 67 people. Chris Livesay reports on the evidence investigators are now looking at.
New footage shows holes in an Azerbaijan airline fuselage, suggesting shrapnel and not a flock of birds brought down the passenger jet yesterday.
But the most likely hypothesis we see is that it was struck by an air defense missile, almost certainly Russian, in the area over Grozny.
Azerbaijan Airlines Flight 8243 left Baku for Grozny, Russia. Due to dense fog, the passenger jet was diverted towards the Caspian Sea before eventually crashing in Kazakhstan some 250 miles east. Along the way, its GPS was reportedly jammed, leading to significant deviations. Some survivors say they heard an explosion. Cell phone footage shows oxygen masks down and visible damage. It's an area known for clashes in Russia's war on Ukraine, as recently as the same morning as the crash.
Ukrainian drones were active at the time, and this is commensurate with everything we've seen in the pilot's communication with air traffic control. And currently, it's the only thing that fully fits the facts that we know.
Haunting clues that recall Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, when Russian-backed forces shot down that passenger jet over eastern Ukraine in 2014, killing all 298 people on board. The Kremlin is warning not to jump to conclusions. Russia, Azerbaijan, and Kazakhstan have all opened investigations into what caused the crash about 2 miles shy of the runway. This survivor looking for answers. When the plane crashed, my wife was sitting next to me, he said. I haven't seen my wife since.
Now, investigators have already recovered both black boxes from the crash site. Experts are on their way from Brazil, the country where this jet was made, to help examine that crash data. They're expected to arrive on site in Kazakhstan tomorrow. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Bassano del Grappa, Italy.
President-elect Donald Trump has focused a lot of his most recent rhetoric on international affairs, including social media posts on Christmas Day, giving well wishes to Chinese soldiers illegally operating the Panama Canal. China does not control the canal, but a subsidiary of a Hong Kong company does have a contract to manage 2 ports located at the canal's entrance. Trump claims U.S. ships are being unfairly charged for going across the canal, which the U.S. built and ran for decades before turning it over to Panama back in 1999.
They haven't treated us fairly. If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America.
Meanwhile, Trump has named Miami-Dade County Commissioner Kevin Marino Cabrera as his pick to be ambassador to Panama. Cabrera could be tasked with negotiating a new deal for use of the canal. Scattered showers stick with us through most of the weekend. Meteorologist Blaise Keller joins us now with more on those chances and the warmer weather to come. Blaise?
That's right. We really aren't going to say goodbye to the rain chance until about maybe Monday, if not Tuesday of next week. Tuesday, of course, being New Year's Eve. And if we look ahead to those first few days of 2025, we are set to be cooler than where we're at now. We're going to be back into those 20s after hanging out in the 40s, if not maybe a few low 50s by Saturday. The reason is because we've opened up the Gulf of Mexico. The jet stream is well off to our north, and to fill the space that it was once over, we're moving in that warmer air. A low pressure system that did bring some severe weather to the deep south is going to be weakening and becoming more stable as it moves over our neck of the woods going into Friday. So we're going to be dealing with the rain, not really expecting any severe weather out of this. Even a thunderstorm or two would be a little bit on the wild side with this system as it moves overhead tomorrow. But especially Friday night into Saturday is when we're going to see the most widespread rain. Because of this low pressure system's path, central and southern Wisconsin, we're not going to be dealing with any cold enough air to see any mixed precipitation, let alone any snow. If this was traveling more east, we maybe would. But otherwise, that low is going to continue off to the north. We're still going to be mild as we go into your Sunday and further into Monday as yet another system moves through the Midwest. This one staying off to our east. So that one doesn't quite pull down any new cooler air. We see that happening New Year's Eve when a low comes out of the northwest. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But from the big picture to the local level, we're going to watch as that rain chance continues to really impact us starting in the morning hours tomorrow, but ramping up as we go into the late afternoon, early evening, and continues to bring that rain as we go overnight into Saturday. Most of that dark green and some of those yellows off towards the northwest means that's probably where that ½ inch to an inch of rain is likely going to fall. Further towards the south and east, we'll still get rain, but maybe just not as much. 1/4 to a half, maybe in some isolated spots, upwards of 3/4 of an inch of rain, which is some good news. We're still technically underneath drought conditions here across parts of southern Wisconsin. But I mentioned a New Year's Eve system. This is the one that's going to pull down cooler air out of Canada and really change our temperatures as we go into the first few days of 2025. But models continue to keep this center off to our south. Even the latest model runs continue to keep the center of this low pressure system kind of over the St. Louis area, which means it's not north enough to really bring us any measurable, let alone significant snowfall. We'd want that green line further to the north, and it's not well off to our north where we actually see more rain. So this system is going to cool us down, but based on its current path, we're really not going to see a lot in the way of snow, which could be some good news for some folks, as again, this is expected to move through New Year's Eve into New Year's, so we're not going to be dealing with any snowstorms, at least for now, as we ring in the new year and end 2024. 40s tomorrow, a little bit warmer than where we should be for this time of year, when we should be in the upper 20s to low 30s. There is a look at your 10-day forecast. forecast, flirting with the 50s on Saturday. And then as we go into the new year, we'll be hanging out in those upper 20s to mid 20s with flurry chances Wednesday and Thursday of next week.
All right, Blaze, thank you. And next at 10, 2024 was full of some huge stories. We'll take a look at the top headlines throughout the year next at 10.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Well, we do want to update our breaking news off the top of the show out of Beloit tonight. Police continue to investigate after what is now being determined to be a fatal shooting. Beloit police say it happened a little after 7:30 this evening. One man is dead, we are told, and a woman has been injured in this shooting. Officers say she is expected to make a full recovery. A suspect has not yet been identified. If you have any information about this shooting, you're asked to contact the Greater Beloit Area Crime Stoppers. Conspiracy theories surrounded FEMA's response to a devastating hurricane in the south, and a deadly bridge collapse in Baltimore shut down shipping to one of the nation's busiest ports. Bradley Blackburn looks at the stories that made national headlines in 2024.
A cargo ship lost power and rammed into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge in the spring, causing it to collapse.
The words that the Key Bridge is gone, it still shakes us.
6 construction workers on the bridge were killed. Hurricane season brought Helene and Milton, storms that devastated parts of the South. Helene killed more than 100 people in North Carolina alone and led to disinformation surrounding FEMA's response, prompting agency teams to move operations to secure locations as a precaution. Protests over the Israel-Hamas war escalated on college campuses. Police clashed with demonstrators across the country while clearing out encampments. Some universities had their commencement ceremonies disrupted, while others canceled their main graduation altogether. The man accused of murdering Georgia nursing student Laken Riley was found guilty in November. Venezuelan migrant Jose Ibarra, who entered the U.S. illegally, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In December, a gunman killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in front of a Midtown Manhattan hotel.
It appears the suspect was lying in wait for several minutes.
The 5-day manhunt ended at a Pennsylvania McDonald's, where police arrested a 26-year-old Ivy League graduate. 2024 marked the first time parents in the U.S. were held criminally responsible for a school shooting. James and Jennifer Crumbley were convicted of involuntary manslaughter in connection with the 2021 Michigan shooting their son carried out that left 4 students dead. Gun violence also shook Joel Osteen's Texas megachurch.
Of course, we're devastated. I mean, we've been here 65 years.
And the parade for the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs. It was an eventful year for golfer Scottie Scheffler, who won 7 tournaments, including the Masters, and got arrested at the PGA Championship. The charges were later dropped, citing a misunderstanding.
I just don't really know what to say about it, but yeah, everything else has been pretty special.
Scheffler also earned gold at the Summer Olympics, part of Team USA's 126 medal haul, the most at the Paris Games.
Caitlin Clark's first time.
Interest in women's basketball skyrocketed, thanks in large part to phenom Caitlin Clark, who broke both NCAA and WNBA records.
I feel like there were so many ways I could have been even better this year.
LA Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani became the first player to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in a single season. His team went on to win the World Series. August saw the emotional family reunions of 3 Americans who had been wrongfully detained in Russia, including Marine veteran Paul Whelan and Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. They returned to U.S. soil following an historic prisoner swap.
I just say thank you to everybody. Thank you for all your prayers, your good wishes.
Boeing launched 2 NASA astronauts into space for the first time with its Starliner spacecraft, but problems plagued the planned 8-day mission, leaving the astronauts stranded on the International Space Station.
We all just went by each other.
Mysterious drone sightings across multiple states had Americans on edge. And finally, millions of Americans witnessed a celestial marvel, a solar eclipse where the moon blocks out the sun. It won't happen again in the continental U.S. until 2044. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
And a programming reminder, don't forget to check out this week's special holiday edition of the Wisconsin Huddle. News 3 Now Sports Director Zach Hanley looks back at some of the best moments during the first 14 episodes. That show airs Friday at 6:30 right here on News 3 Now. We'll be right back. And Blaze is back. Big one final check of the forecast tonight.
Yeah, low to mid 40s tomorrow. Again, that dense fog advisory through 6 a.m. now on Friday. After that, we stay cloudy and we see the chance for rain increasing as we go throughout your afternoon, especially overnight Friday into Saturday. Staying mild, though, through the weekend and into the start of our next work week. New Year's Eve, though, Tuesday, it looks like we're going to stay dry, but we start to cool on down before the 20s and flurries return, or at least the chance for them. As we kick off the new year, will be much cooler as we kick off 2025, staying in the 20s through that upcoming weekend.
All right, Blaze, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10, folks. Have a great night.